Quasi here, and in today's video, I want to share with you how you can attract anything that you want in your life without fighting for it, without struggling, without having to battle something, but actually just becoming attractive and letting it come into your life, becoming an actual magnet. I really want you to pay attention throughout this whole video because there are going to be very, very nuanced points. And by the end of this video, I'm going to share with you 2 things that you can do right now to just be attractive and just have these things come into your life without any struggle, without any battle on your part. So without further delay, let's get started. This video is titled Attract Anything for a Reason. And it's not go out there and fight for what you want. And it's not let's battle against something, let's take some massive action and go and get it. Because all of those things aren't really effective. You know, I've been there, I've taken the massive action, I've struggled, and I've done. But you know, all of those things, they're not effective at all. If it were, I would still keep doing them. But what really is effective is shifting your focus from having, from doing, to just simply being and seeing what arises from this being, what kind of doing comes out. The doing then becomes an expression of this being, and the having just follows when this whole cycle becomes complete. So most people have this false assumption of if I want it bad enough, if I have this burning desire, then I'll get it. I need this burning desire and I need to want it bad enough. That's the biggest load of BS I've heard. Okay, this is false. And I'll tell you why it's false. Because the more I wanted something in my life, the more I actually started to get further and further away from it. So to give you an example, when I started my business, everything had such inflated importance and meaning. You know, I wanted to get out of the 9-to-5 and I wanted to get out of my full-time career and I wanted to have a business that gave me this freedom. And this freedom, you know, this financial freedom was put on a pedestal, right? So everyone looks up to it. Everyone dreams about this financial freedom. And I did too. I was conditioned to believe this, just as people are conditioned to believe you need to fight to earn your place under the sun. Nothing could be further from the truth. So when I started fighting against myself every single day, grinding and trying to take action and doing, it just became harder and harder. All of my efforts were just seemingly wasted, right? So that realization first occurred to me when I graduated from college and I was, you know, supposed to go full-time into my business. And that first month in business, I made absolute zero. And that devastated me because before, at least I was making some money, but the importance was so high on just being self-sustainable because I made a promise to my parents that, you know, if I had 5K a month, you can't give me shit about not going to a full-time career. So there was a lot of pressure and a lot of pressure that I put on myself to perform, to, you know, show people that I can do better, to make them proud. And because of this internal pressure to perform, I just collapsed in it. And, you know, that collapse was reflected by me not making anything in the business and just struggling and pushing prospects away, and it just reflected my being. My state of being was so rotten. I was holding on to so many things. My actions reflected that, and the results that I got reflected that as well. As opposed to when I look at my life now, when things are going effortlessly and things are just happening, it's because I'm not so needy. I don't need it so much. I can just let it be. I can just let the little things go, right? So I hit my first 20K month when I wasn't even thinking about hitting 20K a month. My focus was shifted from I need this and I need to get this and I want this and I must take massive action to get this. Oh, if I don't take massive action, then I won't grow. My focus shifted from that to let's see what I love. You know, let's just do these videos and help people. Let's see what happens. And when I shifted my focus from I need to get this and I need to do this to get this to the thing that allows me to be in this place of love and operating from that place of love, then surprisingly things started to click for me. You know, I think in the month of July or August, so from May to August, May was 0, August was my first ever 20K month. That happened because I shifted my focus from I need to get something, oh my God, I'm so insecure and, you know, things aren't going well, to I love this. I want to do this. I want to keep making videos. I want to keep helping customers. And when that happened, I hit my first 20K a month. The same thing with relationships, right? I met my wife when I wasn't really expecting it. I wasn't really expecting to hit 20K a month. I wasn't really expecting to meet my wife. I wasn't really expecting to meet this awesome girl, right? I wasn't thinking about it at all. So just when the thought of wanting and needing to get something went away from my awareness, that's when it came to me. So I started to dig deep into this. Why is this happening? Why every single time is it that whenever I let go, I'm not even thinking about it, it's not even in my awareness, I'm just completely neutral about it. Why then does it come into my life? This is what brought me to this topic of attracting something, and without chasing it, without trying to control it, without trying to manipulate it, right? So this led me to the epiphany of, in order to really receive something, you must be open to receiving it in the first place, right? Really think about it. Someone who's closed off will never be able to receive anything. So in order to receive something, you must be open in the first place to receiving it. Now, what does being open mean? Lack of better words, being open just generally means being empty and receptive. When your cup is empty, then we can put stuff in it, right? When you say, I know this and I'm already great, then you won't ever be better. If you think you're already great, like if you think about the greatest parents, right? A great parent will never say, I'm a great dad. They'll never say that. Because people who say they're great at something, they're probably not. They're probably really bad at it. And they think they're great. It's in this ignorance that the truth gets lost, right? So to be open, you must first be empty. So to give you a better example of this, if you look at the life story of the Buddha, the Buddha had a brother who escorted him everywhere because this brother was concerned for his safety, right? And people would come and meet the Buddha for 5 minutes and they would get enlightened. And the brother escorted and accompanied the Buddha for his whole lifetime, for years and years. And the brother never got enlightened. So people were very skeptical and they started to ask questions around this. Like, why is it that people come to see you, Gautama or Buddha, and within 5 minutes they get enlightened, but your brother has shadowed you for a whole lifetime and nothing has happened to him. He's still the same way as he was. To which the Buddha answered, the spoon will never taste the soup. Which really goes to show that he who is not open to receiving will never receive. The brother had his own agenda when he was shadowing the Buddha. So he was closed off to receiving this power the Buddha was emanating, right? So just like that, anything that you want in your life, it's already there. You just have to be open to receiving it. Instead of being closed off in all of the ideas that you have about it, all of the beliefs that you're holding to be true about it, you've just got to be open to receiving it. So without getting into real meta about this, let's actually talk about how you can become more open, how you can become more empty, and how you can become ultimately more receptive. So you don't have to struggle so hard, but your goals just come to you. So there are two parts to this. There is the external part and the internal part. And I want you to pay very, very close attention to this because we're going to get very, very nuanced. And you might want to revisit this video over and over again because you already know all of this. We already know all of this, but we just forget and we don't realize it. We intellectually grasp it, but we don't make the realizations, the realizations for it to be applicable, the experiential realizations for it to be applicable in our lives. So the first thing you've got to do is externally look at your life right now. What are you focusing on? When you feel frustrated that you can't achieve a goal, what's your primary focus on? If you look at life right now, there's a certain flow to it, right? Let's say this is the flow to life. It's flowing this way. Flow. So there's this certain flow that life is intending to take. And within this flow, here you are. You're this tiny speck in this flow that life is taking. Now, you can navigate the flow, or you can try to control the flow. When you try to control the flow of life, that's when you get into problems. Because life is tending to a certain way. And now you try to control this flow by being controlling. So what do I mean by that? To give you an example of that. Let's say a prospect isn't ready to buy your program, a prospect isn't ready to buy from you yet, but you keep trying to force the prospect to buy. You can tell that they're inching away. They're like, oh, I don't know about this. You can just clearly tell they're not interested at this moment. Instead of letting them go, you keep trying to burn this interaction down to the ground. You spend 2-3 hours with them on the phone call. You keep following up with them excessively. You just don't get the hint. Instead of spending your energy elsewhere and letting this person go and letting them reach out to you in the future, you just keep badgering this one person without focusing on what's needed. This is when you try to control the flow. Just like when you try to manipulate a person, you try to control this person who's not listening to you. You become forceful. So this brings me to a concept of force versus power. Power versus force. There's a great book about this. It's literally titled Power versus Force by David R. Hawkins. You should definitely give that a check out. It was a game changer for me. But essentially, in this flow, we try to force our way through this flow, right? Sorry, this is becoming annoying. We try to force our way through this flow instead of trying to navigate our movement within the flow. So here's the key difference. Instead of focusing on trying to control this flow of life, manipulating people, instead, focus on your own movement within the flow, how you navigate this flow. You can move around within the flow. You can move up and you can move down, right? It's just like, you can't just say, oh yeah, the stock market is crashing, but somehow I'm going to get rich in the stock market. This stock is going down, but somehow I'm going to force myself to get rich. Instead of just being observant and looking at other opportunities that are already there within the flow, you try to force this. It's kind of like forcing a business to succeed that you're not passionate about and you don't care for, and there's no market need for it. You open up some niche that there's no need of. You're just going against the flow and you don't even care about this niche. You think you should do it because everyone else is doing it. So that's the key difference here. Instead of trying to change the flow, control your movement within it. So that even sounds a little esoteric. What do I mean by that? Well, that essentially means shifting your focus from controlling to simply observing. Control to observing. So next time someone has an opinion and someone gives you unsolicited advice, instead of rejecting it, just listen. Someone angers you, instead of reacting to that anger, just observe. Whatever's happening, just observe and let it be and let it pass, even though you might not agree with it, because within that, this is the subtlety of becoming open. When you become observing, you become more open. When you become more controlling and opinionated, you operate from your existing beliefs, and your existing beliefs won't get you where you're wanting to go. They need to be upgraded, right? So how you go from trying to control the flow to moving within the flow is just simply going from control to observing and acting on intuitively what needs to be acted on. And you will know. If you just become very, very observant, deeply observant, you will know when to act and when to just not act. Most of the time you won't be acting, but when you do act, it'll be very effective and you'll commit to it. Okay? That's number one. That's how you navigate externally. Now let's talk about internally what you must do. And this brings me to the concept of surrender. Surrendering things and letting them pass through you. Okay, so let's say right now you're moving through life and you want to achieve a certain goal. There's a lot of importance on this goal. You feel a lot of resistance. You can't get up from bed. It's so hard. You're almost paralyzed because every single day it's just brutal. It's just beating you down. You've got to look internally of where you're attributing too much meaning to things and how you feel within about it. How do you feel about the goal? Do you really want this? Whatever you're going for, do you really want this or do you want to want it? Are you forcing yourself to want it? Is this a goal that you really want to achieve, or has it been conditioned by other people within you to achieve? So for most people, hitting a revenue level like a 10K month or a 20K month, it's been something they've been conditioned to achieve. It's not what they truly want. They want what the money will bring them. If you look at very, very successful people, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, all of these guys look at money differently. They look at it as a resource to help them support what they want to do for humanity. You know, they have this goal for life. They have this goal for their lives. What's your goal for your own life? What do you want to experience? And what do you need to support that? That'll come. And then as your vision, as your goal gets larger and larger, the money to support that will come. So internally, you've just got to surrender sometimes to all of those things that are bubbling up under the surface. Whenever there is fear, whenever there is anxiety, instead of fighting it and holding on to it, because we get this hidden payoff. You know, it becomes a part of our identity. We get a hidden payoff from being anxious. When you become anxious, it's a feeling of familiarity because you've been anxious for so long. It's like, oh, this is just how I am. Oh, depression, this is just how I am. I have this chemical imbalance and, you know, I take these pills for it. This is just how I am. You give yourself, you know, you sort of succumb to it, right? When you give yourself an excuse to feel that, instead of just allowing it to be and being with it, we distract ourselves then with activity, with, you know, drama, so that we can just escape this with social media, with binge eating, with TV. That's how your feelings run you. Okay? Your feelings start running you when you stop giving it your attention and letting it dissolve in this attention, but you get distracted in other things. So this leads me to the surrender mechanism. I won't talk about it in this video because it's getting kind of long, but I'll put a link up here. You can click a little eye, or I'll put it in the description, and you can click on the surrender mechanism. I've made lots of videos about it too. But essentially, when you start to hold on to things, your feelings like anxiety, like pride, like fear, like shame, like guilt, like apathy, when you start to hold on to these things, you become less open to receiving those things or operating from that place of being that you need to operate to achieve what you want. Okay, the higher frequency energies. Okay, so you become like a closed hand. We've been so accustomed to feeling fear, to feeling anxiety, to feeling all of these things that it just becomes a habit. You know, if I were to hold this pen for a whole day just like this and keep my fist clenched, I wouldn't know that my fist was clenched. This would become an unconscious habit. After a certain point, like right now this feels unnatural, but after a certain point, a closed fist would be natural. This is what happens with our feelings. We just pent them up and hold on to them. We don't know what it's like to feel empty, to feel peaceful, to feel joyous, to actually feel alive. We're deadening ourselves to all of those beautiful things because we hold on to the littler things that we're just accustomed to. Right? That's why you engage yourself in drama, that's why you escape from it, that's why there's drugs and drinking. All of those things don't really serve you. So this is how you get internally more open. You become, instead of this closed hand, you become this open hand. Any energy, any feeling that flows through you, it's allowed to now pass. Okay? All of this energy is now allowed to pass. So now you can truly receive. These are the two ways in which you can truly become open and literally receive anything that you want. Achieving your goals doesn't have to be so hard. It can be very, very easy. You can just do what you love and just go towards it. Of course, there'll be pain. Right? There's always pain, and pain leads to more learning. But it's your attitude towards this pain that determines what you achieve. So with that, I conclude this video. Let's do a quick recap of what we talked about. Today, we talked about the concept of attracting anything that you want in your life. And notice how I say attracting, not chasing, not crushing, not grinding for it, but just simply attracting. And it all begins with this misconception that we just blindly fall prey to. The idea of, if I want it bad enough, it's going to happen. And nothing could be further from the truth. Because every time in my life, I've seen that I've just given up wanting it bad enough. I've just given up. I've just let it go. I've just truly let it go. It happened. The 20K month happened. My wife happened. Getting the physique that I want happened. Overcoming this false belief of, I have a slow metabolism, so I can't gain muscle and get bigger. I can't be attractive because I'm this. All of those happened. They all happened when I let it go and I focused on what I loved. And when you come from a place, a vibration level of lovingness, then you just move towards the things that you love just come to you to accompany that state. The having then comes, the doing then comes. To receive, in order to truly receive something, to attract it, to receive it, one must be open. In order to be open, one must be empty, not full of ideas, beliefs, thoughts, not this jumble of things. And I gave you the example of the Buddha's brother and why he wasn't enlightened, and why people met Buddha for 5 minutes and they'd get enlightened. The spoon can never taste the soup. And the question becomes how? There's 2 methods. First of all, the external one. Shift your focus from controlling to just observing, from reacting to just observing. Instead of being quick to react to something, just observe. Just let it pass. Navigating your movement within the flow, as opposed to trying to control the flow in the first place. Internally, whatever feelings arise, letting them arise, letting them be, letting the fear be, letting the anxiety, letting all of those be, and just letting them pass. When you give it permission to just exist within you and give yourself permission to feel it, it passes. And with that, I conclude this video. Thank you so much for watching. I sincerely hope this was helpful. If you're new to the channel, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and hit that little bell there so you're notified of any new video that I put out. Leave me a comment below and let me know what you thought of this, if this was actually helpful, if you would like me to make more of this. I was thinking of making a letting go meditation. Let me know if you want me to make that. Also, the free one-to-one consult, spots for that are open. So if you want to sign up for the free one-to-one consult with us to see if we can work together to help you take your life to the next level, to help you take your business to the next level, click on the link in the description below to sign up for that. There'll be a short survey for you to fill out, and then you can schedule a time with us and speak to us to see if we can work closer together to ensure your success. And we also have a free Facebook group that's open. The link for that is also in the description. Thank you so much for watching. Till next time. Peace!